Hi everyone, this is Prashad Parthiban. I have been getting questions in LinkedIn asking me to explain about integrations. Like I am a BA who is working on configuration. Now I have been asked to work on integration project. What are the day-to-day activities of an integration BA? That's what the question is. So I thought of explaining about the integration BA activities at a very high level. To start with, what is an integration? It is nothing but exchange of data or a request to complete a work between two systems. That's what I'm saying. Like you have system A and then system B. And the system A cannot have all the services or functionalities. In those scenarios, the system A has to depend on system B to complete few functionalities. Let's take an example. I have application A, I have application B. Say if you take insurance example, so if you are having a policy system, you create a submission. Now for a personal auto policy, you need to know for a driver what is his history, like what kind of accidents he had in the past, what is his driving history and everything, right? So we cannot have that in policy system. You need to depend on some external vendors like LexisNexis or any other vendors or MVRs. So in this scenario, when you create a submission in application A, you send the basic driver details, like if I am the driver, my name and my address and all the other details. Now license number. When you send it to the application B, which has all the history about that particular driver, they send the response history, like is this driver a safe driver, what kind of accidents he had, like how was his driving history, and everything is going to be sent back to the application A. So this is a high level overview about integration. So the basic reason why we have integration is, as an application we cannot have all the functionalities. So in those scenarios we depend on other systems to get those required functionalities. To do that we need to send a request and then get the response. So that's a pretty much an overview about integration. Now coming back to the original question that was asked to me, as a business analyst, what are my day-to-day activities? Because if you take a configuration, your activities may be different. If you take integration, your activities could be different. If you take data migration, your activities could be different. Coming to integration, the first thing you are going to do is data mapping. So in this example, if you want to send the driver information like the driver first name, last name, his license number, you need to make sure that those data elements are available in your source system. In this scenario, you should be able to have that in the policy system. And similarly, once you send this driver information, you get the response back. So you need to make sure that the response, like whatever the driver history, like number of accidents or whatever the safe driver or not, all those information that you receive from this target systems has to be saved or persisted in our source systems. So you need to complete data mapping between application A and application B. Like this is the data that I am sending, this is the data I am getting back. So that is what you have to do, data mapping. Second thing is, as I told you, we are going to get the response back from the target systems. Say if you receive 10 fields, only 5 fields are available in your source system. The remaining 5 fields has to be added to the source system. So in this case, you have to update your user interface mockups, like whatever the field. Say if you are using a policy system and if you wanted to persist this new fields in the driver screen, you need to update your UI mockup to make sure that user interface is up to date. So first thing is data mapping. As I told you, sending the data, receiving the data, or it could have any error condition. Say in case if the driver information is not available in the target system, what kind of error do we need to get, right? Or like when are we going to trigger that? So all those details has to be in the data mapping. And second thing is user interface requirements, like any new fields that you get back, where are we going to save that fields? So that's what going to be in the user interface. First thing is data model updates and data mapping. Second thing is user interface. Third thing is timing, like are you going to trigger this integration automatically or maybe on demand, or all those details has to be taken care on the timing perspective. That requirements has to be documented. Fourth thing is triggering point. Is this going to be triggered based on some user action or some system level event updates? Like if you take a policy system, the moment user creates a submission and clicks on code button, though in those scenarios do we need trigger? So the triggering points has to be clearly documented. So pretty much these are the BA activities. Coming to the mechanisms, as I know, there are a number of mechanisms. I have listed few that I worked on. First one is web services. Web services is nothing but any application, when they develop a functionality, they go to web services and publish their services. When they publish their services, any source system can call the services through internet, through XML formats. That's what is called as web services. And the second thing is internal plugins. Most of the time, what happens is some internal applications, if there are functionality that are often used, they will have a common functionality called plugins. And every time when they need it, they will call those plugins. So for an example, if you want to authenticate a user, that will be a very common functionality. You have that as a plugin. So every time a user enters username, password, you use that, call the plugin to validate if this is a valid user or not. Messaging. So messaging is a little bit different here, right? Like, in case of web service, any system makes a call. As a result, the target system sends back the response. In case of messaging, it's like sending a message on an occurrence of an activity. Like in case of policy system, if you create a submission, if the rule is in such a way that if submission is not favorable, maybe send a message to an underwriter, right? So one way it can be one way. When you send a message, they can send an acknowledgement. So that's what we call it as messaging. Fourth one is batch processes. We all know sometimes we automate the repeated works in terms of batch. So example, if you wanted to make an update, like if you have a policy with producer A, now you wanted to make an update to the policies that are producer A to B. So there are 100 policies. You can have a batch that runs on a regular basis, which will make sure that any policy that had producer A, that can be changed to producer B. So that is all called as batch processes. So this is what I wanted to discuss today. Pretty much we discussed what is an integration, why do you need an integration with an example. Then we discussed the typical BA activity specific to integration, which includes data mapping, which will include data model updates or data mapping updates or any error conditions or any trigger points. Second thing is the user interface changes. Third thing is we have to make sure that what is the schedule on which we have to trigger this integrations. Final thing is triggering points. So and then we discussed different mechanisms, which includes web services, internal plugins, messaging and batch process. I hope you like my training videos. If you like my training videos, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day. Bye bye.